Hey y'all. Today's today's objective is volume of cylinders, cones, and spheres. And remember, this is an 8th grade objective. We talked about this. It's in 8th grade. So if you are taking the 7th grade EOG, it will not be on the 7th grade EOG, but it will be on your plus benchmark and your 8th grade EOG. So I've given you all of the shapes and all of the formulas. So I'm going to go through those very quickly. We have cylinders, and here's the formula, pi r squared. You're going to need the radius, and pi we'll use 3.14. Cones, again, you're going to need the radius, and you're also going to need the height. Oh wait, the height would be right here. So you'll need the height and the radius. And the only difference between a cone and a cylinder is that a cone is a third of a cylinder. Kind of like a pyramid is a third of a rectangular prism, a cone is a third of a cylinder. And then in a sphere, you're going to need the radius. And here's the formula, 4/3 pi r cubed. Make sure you see that cubed. And again, you're going to have all the formulas, so as you're working out problems, you'll have the formulas either on the board or on the test or something like that. I'm out of room. I can't slide it down anymore. I'm too far over, I guess. Alright, so example 1, we're going to talk about cylinders. I'm giving you 2 cylinders. Here's a 3-dimensional cylinder, and here's the net of a cylinder. The net of a cylinder has 2 circles to represent the top and bottom, and then this middle rectangle rolls up to make that cylinder. And let's go through the formula, pi r squared h. And then I put pi in and I put h in, the height is 12. But I left the radius blank because I wanted us to do that together. The radius of the cylinder. So this whole thing going across is 8. So the radius, that whole thing is a diameter and the radius is half of it. So the radius would be 4. So we're going to put in 4 squared. And then we can type that into our calculator. 3.14 times 4 squared times 12. And our volume is 602.88 inches cubed. Ooh, no marker. 602.88 inches cubed. And again, I had a diameter that goes all the way across, and I had to half it for the radius. Let's do this example with the net. I have my 2 circles, and then I have my cylinder, or my middle. Pi, 3.14, and then the height is 10. Because if this rolled up, it would be 10 centimeters high. Now the radius, I left that blank because is that the radius or is that the diameter? This is the radius, so we don't need to cut it in half, so we use 2, and we type in 2 squared. So now I type that into my calculator, 3.14 times 2 squared times 10, and the volume is 125 centimeters cubed. So those are 2 quick examples for cylinders, and again, you have the formula and you have to plug it in. The tricky part is if you have the diameter or if you have the radius. Alright, example 2, let's go over cones. Cones, again, are a third of a cylinder. So the formula is basically the same. You have a third pi r squared h. So I brought down a third in pi. So now let's talk about the radius. In example A, the radius is 5. It's half of the circle. So 5 squared. The height of the cone has to go from the center of the circle to the top of the cone. Not the slant height, but the height of the cone, and that would be 12. So then I can type that in. 1/3 times 3.14 times 5 squared times 12. And our volume is 314 inches cubed. Nice and whole number. Again, I have my radius and my height. So let's go to cone B, upside down cone, like an ice cream cone, and the volume is how much would fit inside. I started with my formula, 1/3 pi r squared h. I brought down my 1/3, I brought down pi. Now we have to fill in r, the radius. So this is all the way across. That's the diameter. The radius would be half of it. So what's half of 3? You could do 3/2, or you could do 1.5. Either half of it divided by 2, or get 1.5. Either one. I'm going to use 1.5, and then the height is 5. So I type that in, 1/3 times 3.14 times 1.5 squared times 5. And we get, the volume is 11.775, so 11.78 inches cubed. And again, I took the diameter, and I halved it. If you have the diameter, you have to half it to find the radius. And then don't forget the 1/3. Okay, example 3 are spheres. So we have 2 spheres, and I have the formula 4/3 pi r cubed. So I brought down my 4/3, brought down my pi. Now let's talk about r cubed. What is the radius in this example? And that's already half, so the radius is 14. So 14 cubed, type that in your calculator. 4/3 times pi times 14 cubed. If you don't have a cubed button, you could just do 14 times 14 times 14. And the volume is, big number. 11,488.21 centimeters cubed. Let me double check. 4/3 pi r cubed, 14 cubed. So 11,488.21 centimeters cubed. That's very large. Let's do sphere B together. 4/3 pi r cubed, and I have 4/3 pi r cubed. Again, 30 inches. This is the diameter, so we have to divide it by 2. 30 divided by 2 is 15, so that is my radius. 15 squared. 4/3 times pi times 15 cubed. And I think I typed something wrong, so let me double check. Okay. The volume is 14,130 inches cubed. 14,130 inches cubed. And again, I took my diameter and I broke it in half. I divided it by 2 to get a radius of 15. Alright, so I have 3 U-tries. I want you to try each, the cylinder, cone, and sphere. Use the formula. I've given you the formula here, here, and here. And we will go over these 3 tomorrow in class before we do our classwork.